My never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
Now, Sam Otchere Blackwire and Associates, they are the legal representatives of Madam Cecilia Dapaah, and they have had cause to write on the 11th of August 2023, written to Multimedia Group, and they are asking for a retraction and an apology. Now, there are 3 pages in the document. They have detailed the different times at which the broadcasts were made, and they have also spoken about the OSP's rebuttal of what comments were made and that it didn't come from the OSP and all of that. They have said that, well, in spite of the rebuttal, they still went ahead and published at different times. Let's see what they are asking Multimedia to do. That's on page 3 of the document. Page 3 of the document, right? Page 3 of the document that was published. Now, let's see this particular one. And the third portion of the document that had come, third portion of the document that had come, well, this is the second portion. Play me the third document. Show me the third document. All right? So we are by this letter demanding that your Alfred retracts the false information it has published and apologizes to our client within 3 days from the delivery of this letter, using the same means and coverage with which it was published. The false information, failing which we have our client's firm instruction to institute legal action and bring the full force of the law to bear on your Alfred for the damage, etc., etc. So, rightfully so, they have the right to write this letter to Multimedia and to whoever had made the publication. And in writing this letter, they are also demanding that we are by this letter demanding that Alfred retracts the false information published and apologize to our client within 3 days from the delivery of this letter, using the same names and means with which it was published, the false information, failing which we have our client's firm instruction to institute legal action and bring the full force of the law to bear on your Alfred for the damage and injury your reportage has caused and keeps causing. You accordingly advise yours faithfully, Victoria Bath, and that's copied to Madam Cecilia Dapaah. So they have the right to write this letter, and they have a right to also ask Multimedia. And if Multimedia is certain that what they published out there is correct, and they are not alone. I mean, Madam Cecilia Dapaah owns her right. So if Multimedia is sure that what they published out there, they have no reason to apologize, just as was in the Al Jazeera gold mafia thing. You remember that the presidency had written a similar letter asking Al Jazeera to retract and apologize within a certain 7-day period. If not, they would take legal action and all of that. Well, Al Jazeera wrote, because we wrote to Al Jazeera, and they said, oh, we have already written to your government that we will not retract and apologize because we have not done any of what they're saying. The presidency is keeping that information. Mr. Nkrumah knows about that information, but that information is not in the public domain. So if Multimedia knows that they have done nothing wrong, they may not respond, and they would dare whoever is writing and say that, look, please, we have had enough of this one, we will retract, do your worst. And that's what Al Jazeera did to our government. Our government still is holding that gold mafia thing and all of that. But my senior colleague, Paul Adom has been explaining to us some things. Listen to him.
So I think now we get who we are dealing with. These are the people we are dealing with. Maabna is Patience Botwe, house help, number 1. Sarah J, 18-year-old, house help, number 2. Benjamin Soa, Patience Botwe, Maabna's current boyfriend. Kweku Botwe, Maabna's father. And Dauda, Maabna's ex-boyfriend. Now, one more thing to tell you before you go on. It's in the document. But Cecilia Dapaah also told me this. Now, Patience Botwe is unknown to Cecilia Dapaah and her husband. They don't know her. They know Dauda, who works for Cecilia Dapaah's husband. Dauda comes to them one day and says that, my mother and my father have a problem. What is the problem? I have gone into a woman who is at JSS, and she says she's pregnant. She's called Patience Botwe. This is the problem I have. And they say, hey, she's pregnant? Yes, she's pregnant. She's a small girl, JSS. And I have made her pregnant. And they say, but Dauda, how much resources do you command that you're going to be able to look after a child? So you know what you want to do? You know what we'll do for you? Go and bring your baby mama, who is still pregnant, to come and live with us. And she will work here 3 times a week so we can give her some money and it can help the child. This is very interesting, and it will be very painful to the couple. Dauda goes on a frolic of his own to go and impregnate Patience. Patience is pregnant. Dauda is concerned Dauda has such a good relationship with his boss, Cecilia, Dapaah, and her husband, that he's able to confide in them that I'm in trouble, I've impregnated somebody. And they said, oh, Dauda, don't worry. Go and bring her to come and work here. She works 3 times a week. So that's her. And then Mabna is a regular 18-year-old maid servant who lives permanently with them. But she comes 3 times a week. As she starts the work though, and as she has the child now, she has stopped with this man, Dauda. Patience and Dauda have stopped. Patience is now dating Benji Bensoa. He's the one that Patience is dating now. I don't know whether Benji knows that Patience's child is by Dauda, who is also working in the same place as.
So that was the explanation that was given by my senior colleague Paul at Otchere. So in that, he said, Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah told him. So that is his narrative, that Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah told him. So it is based on information that he had. That's why he said what he did. There are 3 schools of thought here. Number 1, Mr. Otchere may be acting on his own as a journalist who is just interested in informing and educating the public. So he went to seek further clarity, as we do in our work, Audi Autorem Patem, to ask Madam Cecilia Dapaah, what is your side of the story? And he's been very consistent since the matter broke, telling the side of Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah's story. That's 1. 2, is Madam Cecilia Dapaah herself, giving the president's response to him. Please put Madam Dapaah's picture up for me. Is Madam Cecilia Dapaah herself, did she choose Mr. Paul Otchere to speak on his behalf, or on her behalf, sorry? Did Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah choose, Paul Otchere to speak on her behalf? That's the second leg of the conversation. Number 3, is Mr. Paul Otchere doing this because, first of all, he's an appointee of the government. He has not denied that. He's a board chairman of the Ghana Airport Company, right? He is also told us publicly that he's an apologist of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He loves him. So is he doing this to save the face of the government, as it were, because the people are not too excited that the cabinet minister could keep that much money at home, when in fact we had been told that the banking sector had been cleaned up and people could go and have confidence and keep their monies in there and all of that? These are the 3 schools of thought that come. But from the narrative that Madam shared, Mr. Paul Otchere shared, there are questions that must be asked. The first question is that Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah engaged the services of a house girl or a housemaid who was in JSS at the time. And JSS is part of our basic school. Please put the minister's picture out there for me. JSS is part of the basic school structure. So if somebody is in JSS, it's obvious that the person will be less than 18. Way less than 18. Because there are even people who get into secondary school who are way less than 18. So that's the conversation. Now, did Madam and her husband know that they were engaging somebody who was under 18 at the time? Because if you are in JHS, you are under 18. Unless in this particular instance, the person was not a minor at the time that the person was engaged. Number 2, so this government tells us about education and that we have to educate our people and free SHS and all of that. Was Madam interested in trying to get the lady into free SHS and TVET and all that education? That's the other one. Remember that Madam had also acted as the gender minister when Adwoa Safo started playing her old calypso and panlogo with the government. She wants to run again, by the way, and that can only happen in Ghana. You don't know. Well, but at the time that she was acting as gender minister, was this minor still in her house serving as a housemaid? That's the third question. The fourth question that comes to mind is that, so according to Mr. Paul Otchere and what Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah told, him, the Madam and her husband were aware that somebody in JHS had had sexual carnal knowledge, okay, with somebody who is a full adult and had actually gotten pregnant. And the matter was not taken up by WAJU, was not taken up by Child Rights International because it was not made public. Then we asked that bring the JSS girl home and let's take care of the JSS girl, employ the JSS girl as a housemaid. Is that the case? Is that what happened? Now, the fifth question that comes to mind is, these are house girls that Madam didn't personally know. Now, Madam was a cabinet minister. So Madam would have been exposed to a lot of state secrets that is not previewed to the general public.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.